The ancient Roman society was divided by class and gender into the categories of slaves, patricians, plebeians, and women. Romans were able to make the most use of slaves than any other previous civilization. During the Roman Empire, the Romans were able to conquer land and put those people to work as slaves and gladiators. Ancient Roman slaves made up 1/3 of the population, and according to Roman law, slaves became property of their owners, and anything they said or did could affect the way the owner treated the slave. For example, some healthy, strong males became gladiators or professional fighters who fought to the death in public contests at the Colosseum for the amusement of others.
Another part of Roman society were the plebeians, who were the common folk of ancient Rome. They included the ordinary people such as farmers, merchants, and artisans. Plebeians made up the majority of the free Roman citizens during the early and middle years of the Roman Republic. However, they had fewer civil rights than their more opulent counterparts, the patricians. In fact, the plebeians were forbidden by law to enroll in religious schools, serve as the members of the most important government positions, and they were forbidden to trade with and marry patricians. However, they were allowed to go into the military and serve as officers in the military. Then in 494 BCE, the plebeians won legal permission to create their own assembly, the tribal assembly, with their own elected representatives called tribunes that would protect the interests of their people. They accomplished this through threatening to desert Rome, which would cause disaster in the city. This was called succession. Then in 451 BCE, the plebeians forced the creation of a written law code, or the Law of the 12 Tables, which gave them the ability to defend themselves against random discrimination from biased patricians, government officials. From this, the plebeians were eventually able to hold the highest of government positions in the early 4th century, such as council or praetor, legalized marriage between patricians and plebeians, and serve as priests and augurs in 300 BCE, and eventually caused the government to declare legal equality in 287 BC. The plebeians of ancient Rome started as the lowly citizens of Rome with no status to be born into, but they ended up forming equality in ancient Roman society. Also, another part of Roman society were the patricians, who were the wealthy and privileged members of ancient Rome. They had status only granted if someone was born into the household, because the patricians' ancestors were responsible for the overthrowing of the Etruscan king that led them to the defeat establishing Rome in 509 BCE. From this ancestry, patricians gained control over high government positions such as the Roman Senate, consulship, and religious offices. Marrying only other patricians, the patricians only took up 10% of the official population, and overall the patricians were the landowning class of the Roman society. The patricians held the most slaves in land that grew indefinitely because they kept buying land from the poor plebeians of Rome until they were only the few rich overall landowners of Rome. However, this stopped during the conflict of the Auras, when the plebeians fought to obtain more and more rights from the patricians, and eventually in 287 BCE, two groups announced legal equality. That newfound equality caused patricians' influence over the Roman society to diminish, and for the class to become not relevant in society overall. Although starting on top, Roman society, the patricians' original status diminished over time. Women also played a role in Roman society when they began obtaining money from their husbands that were being lost at war. In fact, the value of women in ancient Rome grew substantially throughout ancient Rome's history. In the beginning of the Roman Republic, women were believed to not be valued, considering citizens were originally not allowed to raise only one daughter. Women were to be under the control of their fathers. They were forced to marry and divorce who their father wanted them to in order to gain political power, and they were not allowed to own land or bring cases to the court without their fathers by law. However, this law seemed to dissipate in the later Republic, with the women owning their own land and conducting their own businesses, while women also gained money in the later Republic when Hannibal came along and started killing the majority of Roman husbands. When these Roman husbands would die, their wives would inherit all of the money, which in turn empowered the women, helping them to do great things, such as bailing Rome out when the Celts attacked them, paying them 1,000 gold to leave. Even the tribute valuers wanted and encouraged women
empowered by encouraging their freedom, causing women to act on gaining power and helping Rome, making it so women were referred to as goddesses. Then after the Roman Civil War, Augustus' widow Leva, a Roman woman, even became the Empress of Rome, or the master of both the Senate and the army, furthering women's involvement in society. However, some Roman men noticed this and did not like it, causing the men to group together and pass the law to secure the freedom of wealthy Roman women. Roman women went from an unvalued part of Roman society to a very valued part in the late Republic, but then downgraded once again to an unvalued form of Roman society in the later Imperial.
All of these social classes, including slaves, plebeians, patricians, and women, affected the ancient Roman Empire in their own unique way.